Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It's a brand new week. It's Monday, the 26th of January. You're with Steve Wyss and Jack Wright. Hope everyone's doing really well and staying safe out there in the US with the major snowstorms going on, Jack. A bit more normal over here. How's things with you?
Hi, Steve. Hello, everybody. Very well, mate. Yes, I've made the relatively short journey, 2-hour drive from Essex to Norwich ahead of the massive game at Carrow Road tonight. So I'm in situ here in the studios of Norwich. So look forward to tonight's action.
Well, I want to welcome everyone in Ming Chung. Good to see you. Is it just me, or is the Premier League quite hard this season? It's one of those years where there's been a few strange things going on. That's for sure. ZT, good to see you. Mike, AJT97 as well. Duncan Evans. AJ says Bruno assist at plus 550 saved his weekend yesterday. Ray Burt, your hammers are breathing down our neck now a bit more. I'm not sure I like West Ham winning the last two games. Mark, IKN, morning guys. As a Forest fan, I greatly appreciate you putting on. They're another team I don't enjoy breathing down our necks at the minute. I never saw that win coming in a million years, to be honest with you. Guy Corday as well. Good to see you. Real Brandon King, what an NFL weekend. And of course, the Manchester United game. It was a big betting weekend. Stateside, obviously, with the two championship fixtures, Jack, and the Broncos got beat by the Patriots in a blizzard conditions. Biggest NFL bet on the sports book, Broncos plus 4 was a winner. They lost the game, but they covered the spread, $50,000 there. Biggest bet on the Seahawks game was over 52 points at plus 185, nearly $30,000, and that was a winner. Even more money on the soccer field, and these three bets were from the same bettor, apparently. Whoever it is out there, $77,000 on Real Madrid moneyline live against Villarreal, minus 104. That won. 70,000 on Crystal Palace Chelsea live over 0.5 goals, minus 154. Another winner. 60,000 Arsenal to score in the first half against Manchester United. Another winner. So that was a brilliant weekend. The drinks are on that particular bettor. Let's just say that one.
50K he's pocketed there, isn't it? Something like that?
Or more. Nearly 200K. More. Yeah, probably 150 to 200K. So,
lovely.
Yeah, brilliant. Well done to that particular bettor. Anyway, yeah, it was. How was your weekend overall, Jack? I mean, it was. I have to say, Ming's question there. I think the Premier League has been difficult. There's been ups and downs. That Brentford result, I've got to be honest, I never saw that coming at all. There seems to be a lot of randomness going on in the Premier League this season. And do you know what? Someone keeps making the point. Is this the most competitive Premier League there's ever been? There's no easy game now at times?
Well, I'm proof that it's been very hard to call on my watch. That's for certain. I ain't going to make no bones about it. It's been absolutely horrific from stuff I put forward. Saying that, we spoke off air, and of the 9 games so far, I've picked 4 losers out of those. So obviously 5 that haven't lost in there so far as well. But my 3 official plays on the show this week were from those 4 losers. So it's been a theme for me out of the course of the season that I've not been able to pick the right bets when I pick the winners. And I'm landing on the wrong ones that are going official. We do hope, and we do get people that obviously message us and say, we liked what you said about that lean and therefore have played it. And we've talked about Mickey van der Ven, I put up last week as a perfect example that remember things because I put him forward, and it was his centre-back partner that scored that week, who then has now scored 3 on the spin, and Van der Ven got the opening goal of the weekend this weekend. So, you know what I mean? We're kind of finding the right angles and just not quite getting them land for us at this moment in time. Or certainly I'm talking for myself here, and I just picked up a few winners. But it's very tough. And like when you look at the stats on it, that Brentford game just screamed out, especially with that extra game for Forest. And they've gone and done the business with a very tight turnaround from an away trip in Europe, where they've not been great at coming back and getting positive results against one of the best sides in the home form in the league. Make it make sense. It doesn't, but that's soccer. That's why we love it. And that's why we can bet on it, because it is unpredictable. Because if it wasn't, then the markets wouldn't be there. So we enjoy it, and we've got to look forward to those wins and trying to unravel and crack the code.
Yeah, I think you just got to stick at it. And that goes to anyone who is perhaps on a bit of a losing run, and all that. You've got to stick with the process. I know that's a lot of managers say that, but it genuinely is the way of the world. You've got to have, in this industry, in this type of thing, no matter how you bet, or no matter what type of better you are, you've got to have mental resilience at points. It's the way it is. It's as simple as that, really.
Just going to point out there, Steve, Mindy's made an absolute bang on point there, that we were millimeters away from people who are on the Van Dijk to score a header. He said it cost him a 55-1 winner. He's effectively just ducked under it, hasn't it? And it's come off his kind of neck or shoulder and gone in. And that's the difference. Fine margins between a 55-1 winner there, which, if you are having a tough run, would wipe out pretty much most deficit, and the fine margins that we're dealing with. And we've talked about red cards that go against you, VAR decisions that might go against you, and sides that are cruising 2-0 when you're looking on overs and sticking it 2-0. And these things happen. And like I said, we've been around the block between us unfortunately, long enough times that you have to roll with them. But it doesn't help sometimes when so you guys are obviously tailoring what we're doing. But we go. It's how it is. That's the nature of the beast, and I say it is why we love it. Because when the highs are there, we absolutely revel.
Mark appreciates the sincerity, and Mike is on about Bayern losing at home. I tell you what, James Eastham and Bayern don't get on very well. Those James and Bayern, just one of those where there's always a team for everyone. Just can't get them right. And Bayern, that was incredible. Augsburg, I think, were pretty much 100-1 in play on most of the sports books, probably bigger on certain other exchanges. So, to come from 1-0 down away at Bayern with 15 minutes to go and win, I mean, it's incredible, to be brutally honest with you. And you talk about there, Peter Jaukin said he had a tenner on Man United to win from behind pre-match, saved his whole weekend. So, two incredible bets here on the sportsbook at long odds winners. We get these from the producer every day. $5 was placed on. This is in the Mexican Expansion League on Venados. I guess this is against Dorados de Sinaloa. Live on the full-time draw at 160-1. Another $5 at 140-1 for the draw. This is live. Apparently, Dorados trailed 4-1 in the 75th minute and scored goals in the 78th, 91st, and 94th minute to draw. And that particular better netted, if presume it's the same one, netted $1,500 from a $10 stake. So they are out there. They are out there. So I love these stories. Thanks to producer Troy for sending me over. The producer actually is not behind the scenes today. He's locked up in an ice storm. So we wish him well out there, and anyone else who is weather affected, of course, stateside or anywhere in the world for that matter. We've had people watching us with, in hurricanes and cyclones before, Jack, and the commitment is very much there. Okay, Villa fan said, Villa are my team. I can't get right. Sometimes that's the way, though, Villa fan, Adam. It's I've had periods where I cannot get Leeds right whatsoever, especially when we're doing quite well, because I think you're probably like me. You're probably more naturally pessimistic about them, and it can sort of do that sort of thing. Wilfred Songa, just wondering, will Porto play the way it has been playing, winning the second half? Are Porto playing today?
They are, yeah. They are.
Okay, yeah, we're not covering that game, I don't believe.
I would have put it forward, but I couldn't find an angle. That one's a fair point. Going into the second half, that's kind of how it's been. But I did look into that one, and I tried to get Porto on side with a couple of same game parlay angles, but couldn't really do it. So yeah, again, that's a perfect example. You've got a striker there that couldn't stop scoring. Has missed 2 penalties in the last couple of weeks, and you think, that when your luck's against you on that respect. So have a look round on that one. That might be a game where there's going to be a new penalty taken for Porto, with him missing the last couple. So
yes. Okay, well, on the slate today, we've got 4 matches we are going to discuss. Premier League, Everton versus Leeds. Championship, Norwich, Coventry. We've got Serie A action, La Liga as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Premier League relegation battle, considering Forest and Everton, Forest and West Ham picking up big wins. We're going to have a daily double for you as well. As a reminder, the last daily double did win. That's today's daily double. I put it up early. You can get on quickly. This is the daily double from Friday. It was a winner for Lewis Jones, comfortable winner actually, really. There with the odds handicap and Derby to score against West Brom plus 107. Daily double's in good form. I think it's 5 wins of the last 8 in good profit. On the early show, the guys stateside had a great winner on Thursday last week as well at big odds. So hopefully we can do some more today. We're going to start in Serie A. This is Verona against Udinese, and it's, I would say near enough a pick'em game, to be honest with you, Jack. Udinese are the slight favourites, but there's not much in it. Verona plus 195. The tie is shorter than 2-1, which is always an interesting sort of state of affairs. You actually mentioned on the promo video, great promo video you did today, can we solve the Udinese conundrum? They have been a difficult side. I don't think we've actually lost too much on them on the shows because no one really gets involved with them very often. Like, honestly, if you head into the weekend, I remember last year on the Extra Time show, I put forward a bet on Udinese, and Dan and James were like, "Where's this come from? Like, we never talk about Udinese. We never get involved with them. What on earth are you doing?" They're a difficult side. My part of the daily double is going to come in this game, though, which might be a concern. But I think the goal line for me is just far too low here. I mean, you can actually get over 2.5 goals at plus 150. Now, if we drop down to the Asian line of 2, you can still get minus 117 on over 2 Asian goals. And that's important because if 2 goals are scored exactly, you will get a complete refund on that Asian goal line. So you only need 2 goals to be scored and you won't lose a penny. I will talk about why I think I like the goals here a little bit later, but I'm interested to hear your angle on this game and the Udinese, conundrum, as you call it.
Yeah, I was delighted to see that back up at one of our live shows. They always seem to appear, don't they? They pop their head up seemingly every either Friday or on a Monday, and here they are again. So we get to have another crack at them. My actual play on this, having looked at it and kind of tried to find a different angle on it, is actually the same line of thought as yours. So I will not really go into detail on that. I'll leave you to explain the reasons why you like what you like. But I looked for something else, and there was only one other stat as I was looking through the different sites and looking for some quirky angles of attack. One that did come up was as far as the kind of goal scoring patterns are concerned. I do like to look into weirder and wonderful quirky patterns, and maybe sides that are either strong starters or sides that can't finish a game, or they run out of steam, sort of thing. So it was interesting to see that Verona are yet to score after the 75th minute when they're playing at home, but they've conceded the highest amount of goals in the league in that same period of time. They've conceded 8 goals in that last official 15 minutes of the game. So you're going to go on to the reasons why they form part of our daily double here on the bet that you're going for. I agree. You've already mentioned what my bet would be. It would be the higher line, over 2.5 goals. I really like an aggressive play at plus 150. So my kind of gambit for this one would be to try and look to potentially get on later on in play on the Bet Rivers app, and maybe looking at Udinese to score late on in the game. So another Udinese goal, or even just playing a goal from, probably given the state of the line, from any side in the closing stages.
Interesting stats there about Verona, and I would be very interested now to know what their pressing data is in terms of PPDA, and I've got a feeling they may well be quite a physical side in the first 75 minutes, maybe, and they tire themselves out. You would think so based on that. If not, then it's probably a mental thing, which can happen with sides. Look, let's talk about Verona first. This is according to Understat. Verona should actually be in the top 10 on expected points, right? They have underachieved their points by nearly 14. Now, take what you want of that, because bad things happen to bad teams, and I think we can probably categorize them as a bad team. Wolves, for example, in the Premier League, exactly the same underachievement in terms of points, 14 points underachievement. And I don't think anyone would argue that Wolves should be bottom of the table. So clearly, if you are missing out on those points, then you're doing things wrong. They're one of just 2 teams in Serie A who are underachieving defensively as well, which that's a worrying sign in terms of mistakes are happening probably. Goalkeeper not reliable. They've clearly underachieved in front of goal. A lot of teams have in Serie A. But I think it is fair to say that they are probably better than their league position, points tally. I'm not saying they should be significantly better, but I think they're probably worth... I'm not giving them 14 more points, no chance. But I'll probably give them maybe 5 or 6 more. Probably give them 4 or 5 more goals. I think I've watched them at times and they've been competitive in certain fixtures. The one against Napoli, I think it springs to mind. And they're also now, let's be honest, at a stage of the season, they are now 4 points adrift of relegation. And realistically, with Fiorentina still in the bottom 3, I don't think any of us really see Fiorentina going down, do we? So take them out of it, and they're actually then 9 points adrift of Torino, who are in free fall right now. Yeah. So Verona need to start getting results, and they need to start they can't be just grinding out 0-0 draws. So that's one of the reasons I like the over here. Udinese, you can't. There's no trend with Udinese, Jack. That's the thing. If we look back at this, is their over under. This is the 2.5 goal line, right? In the last 6 to 8 games, under over. Like they never go more than 2 games with the same sort of under or over stat. They've just had an under game, which means they're probably due an over. That sort of side, aren't they? They're so inconsistent. You just don't know what you're going to get with Udinese, and the same in terms of losses. You look back at their sort of the whole season. I can't think of a time they've never had more than 2 straight wins in a row. I don't think they've not had more than 2 straight defeats in a row, and they've never had more than 2 draws in a row. So whatever they've done the last game, back the opposite. They've just lost their last game, so it's going to be a draw or a win. That's Udinese. That's how Udinese roll.
It's crazy.
I like the over 2 Asian line. That's my reasoning for it. I think Verona have got to come and play. I think Verona have got more goals in them. We don't trust Verona defensively. And Udinese have just had a match where they've lost to 0. So the opposite's going to occur. How about that for reasoning, Jack?
That's fair enough. You also got to point out the fact that when you look at it, the home side, there's been a history of goals in their recent games as well. So that goes with the fact that there is a trend there. 6 of their last 7 at home have seen over 2.5 goals cash. So you're getting the fact that you got the 2 line here as a push. I think that's a sensational. I don't get the line. As I say, sometimes we talk about this where I just don't get how you can have this line set effectively as a 2.5 goals at plus 150. It don't make sense to me. So, mate, so I've got to go with you definitely on this one. I would be more aggressive on a single play as part of the daily double. Absolutely. We can water it down a little bit and have that safety net just in case, when we're bearing in mind we've got a side that is unpredictable, forming half the teams involved in the game, then we'll play it a little bit safer. But I think it does look like a goals game to me.
Yeah, over 2 Asian goals. That is my best bet of the day as a single, and also I'm included in the daily double. It's going to be a shared daily double with me and Jack. Just looking through the comments here. Real Brandon King said he backed Tottenham on the money line. Well, we all ended up backing Tottenham on the money line. Real Brandon King on Instagram Live. More about Instagram a bit later. Mark says he sees value in Leeds. Claudio's in the chat. Claudio, good to see you. How was your weekend, Claudio? Did you back some winners? Cree, good morning to you. Do we have a title race? We'll talk about that when we go Premier League. A guy called A says, I'm leaning Verona double chance. It's a must win. Exactly. That is it. I totally agree. A guy called A must win for them, and must wins can lead to mistakes. Dan Roebuck is also agreeing with me. Is that a good sign? Yes, of course it is.
Yes.
Yes. Over 2 Asian goals in Verona plus a quarter of a goal. But I can't even pronounce that name. There it is on screen. Verona to Napoli. Yeah, there you go. Your Italian's better than mine.
Yes,
but welcome.
Cazzi.
Great to see you. Who do you support? That sounds like the sort of
Milan
name. There we go. Yeah, who do you support? Let us know what your Italian team is and what is the best bet for the game today in Verona. Hayden, I mean, Giovanni. I mean, the thing is, right? You've sold your best player. I mean, you could argue what have they been really doing this season? I mean, they need some new players, Verona, just to shake things up. The top scorer for them, okay, but they've not been scoring many goals. Gift Orban, I think, has offered more threat for Verona this season. And, it's one of those where he's missed quite a lot of chances as well. If we look, I'm going to get some data on expected goals from players. And I'll be surprised if he's been... he's probably one of the biggest culprits in this underachievement, to be honest with you. But yeah, must-win game, really, for Verona. I think they're going to have to go for it. I think it'll open it up. And I think there'll be chances. I've not got a breakdown, unfortunately, of the betting breakdowns today for any of the matches. So I don't know who's on what. So we can't follow the money today. I'll tell you where we can get some money on the Australian Open, which is reaching the crunch stage now. With some great content on the channel with Nigel, Tim, Sean, of course, on YouTube and on the Instagram. But get an Aussie Open bonus bet from Betting Weekly and Bet Rivers. Enter the bonus code BWAO26. That is O for Oscar. In that one, get a $10 bonus bet to use on an Australian Open wager. Offer expires on January the 31st. Must be 21, eligible players only. And, of course, you can log in to the Bet Rivers app and you will receive your daily Australian Open profit boost to use on the day's matches. That's BWAO26 to get that $10 bonus bet on the Australian Open.
Steve, you said Gift Orban, yeah? You wanted to know his expected goals?
Yes.
Data?
Yeah.
He's minus 2.2 for expected goals. 8.2 is the expected goals. He scored 6, which ranks him 5th worst as far as that's concerned. 2.22.
And what about Giovanni?
Giovanni. Oh, now you asked me one. Hang on, I'll come back to that for you.
I'm really interested in. I mean, Orban should have scored more actually, but he always feels like he's in a great. His positioning's quite good. He causes a lot of issues.
Moise Keane is the worst defender.
Moise
he's
Keane
currently 11.71 expected goals, and he's scored 5. So he's minus 6.
Yeah, that's why Fiorentina are down there, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So, let's get on to the second part of the Daily Double. It's in La Liga. It's Girona against Getafe. Girona plus 125 favourites. Getafe plus 285. Tie plus 175. And that's really, really low odds for the tie, by the way. Even certainly at this stage of the season. The goal line's at 1.75 effectively. 1.5 comes on the screen here. Minus 167. I mean, those are the sort of odds you get at half time in some games for over 1.5 goals if it's 0-0 at half time. Plus money for both teams score. Yes. I mean, Getafe are struggling. They are in that relegation zone. Girona have managed to find some form. I actually thought Girona might be minus money here today, Jack, being honest with you, or evens. So I was surprised to see them at plus 125. Are you tempted?
Yes, I am tempted. And I couldn't quite work out the price either, to be perfectly honest with you. And you talk about the draw price there, or the tie price. It's not one that the Getafe have generally been involved in. They've generally lost games, but across their last 13 fixtures across all competitions, in La Liga, they've only tied 1. That was away at Rayo Vallecano a couple of weeks ago. But other than that, they've either lost or won. Generally lost, to be fair. And as you said, they've sunk like a stone after a fairly solid start to the season, haven't they? They've now really hit the buffers. They look like they're struggling. So they're locked in the bottom 3 at the moment. They need to turn performances around. Will they be able to do it? Not so certain. I think they're up against the Girona side here that have had the opposite. They started the season very slowly, poor opening fixtures, and have now kicked on and found some decent form. You look at the 6-game form table. You've got Girona at you've got Getafe at the bottom of that, having only picked up 1 point. No side have picked up fewer points since December the 1st, and Getafe as well. Whereas Girona sit 3rd in that table, and they've won 4 of their last 5 games as well. So I don't quite get why you would then have the home side here, who are in good form, against a side that aren't in good form and in the bottom 3. why they would be that kind of price. So I've actually gone with Girona to win this at plus 125. Was tempted to play it a little bit safer and go to Tino bets. If you are more risk averse, then please do that. Go and put in Tino bet, and you're still getting round about plus. Coming what we said it was now, Steve. Was it plus 130, something like that, for the daily double with that as a Tino bet? More safety net in that one. But I've gone Girona to win plus 125 as my part of the daily double. I think they've in a good spot at the moment. They've also added some decent talent in January, tapped into their friends and family, haven't they? They've brought in a couple of players, one from Manchester City. Claudio Echeverria has come in as well, and I think that's a decent little loan signing. Stegen's gone there. He's supposed to be making his debut tonight, isn't he? In an attempt to get some minutes and make the World Cup squad. So it'll be interesting to see if he does go into that start and line up tonight. And they picked up Fran Beltran from Celta Vigo as well. So I think they've made some decent moves in the January window. And I expect them to put in a good performance tonight. And I do expect them to come out on top. So that's my side of the daily double. Girona to win, straight up, regular time.
Yeah, I like that bet. Plus 125 on the money line. I'm probably going to take him on a single, minus a quarter of a goal, just shy of evens. But yeah, I think when you get in plus 125 on, I mean, this Getafe side have only scored 3 goals in 7 games, is it something like that? Maybe more, 9 games. In fact, in La Liga, they're quite an anti-soccer team, really. They time waste, they foul a lot. The ball's not in play that much, and it's not working for them. It's quite good to see, really, isn't it? In that respect. But I hate sides like that. And you know, I can't say I've ever really had much joy betting Getafe again. They're not the sort of team that ever interests me that much. And I wouldn't mind seeing them go down, to be honest with you. Getafe. So
you heard it here
hopefully Girona keep beating them. And
yeah.
That sounds awful, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm not gonna yeah, Getafe fans are not gonna be happy about me there. But I mean, this screams 1-0 to Girona, really, or 2-0. Win to 0. Getafe don't offer much at all. So yeah, I'm probably more confident about your part of the daily double than mine simply because Udinese are involved.
Yeah,
Udinese being involved. I mean, our Italian guy in chat there, but I still can't pronounce it. You're gonna have to do it. The stats don't back it, but Monday game in Verona during the winter just screams 0-0. So hopefully that doesn't prove accurate. But they can't be 0-0's no good for them. They've got to go for it. That's the way I see it. Doesn't mean it won't be 0-0. But yeah. A guy called A says, I can never get Girona right. Odds seem trappy. Why plus money? Well, I looked at, that's why I was surprised as well. But yeah, sometimes don't overthink it as the best way around that sort of thing. That's the official daily double. Then Girona money line, and then over 2 Asian goals, Verona, Udinese, plus 319. So, you know, I think that's pretty juicy, really, to be honest with you, for a Monday. It's a difficult card overall. So we've picked hopefully a winner there combined. Let's get on to the main course then for the day. Waited around for this one. It's not the Norwich game, Jack.
What
you would expect? Yeah, I know you were expecting the Norwich game now, but we're going to go Everton versus Leeds. We'll talk about the Premier League relegation battle soon as well. But Everton, this is at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and Everton are the slight favourites here, plus 160. Leeds plus 195, and the ties at plus 205. That's interesting when you compare the tie odds compared to the Serie A and La Liga games. Similar money line odds, but the tie is bigger. Over 2.5 goals is plus 128. Both teams score yes, minus 117. I said to you off air earlier when we spoke, if Everton moved to a genuine pick'em in this game and it was joint favourites, you could actually argue Everton would be value because, you know, if Everton and Leeds played each other right now in neutral territory, I would probably have it pick 'em each on a Tino bet. So surely at home Everton deserve to be a more bigger favourite than plus 160, or do they? Does the Jack Grealish news has that tipped it over the edge here for why Leeds are below 2-1?
Yeah, I think that would have a reaction. Grealish not playing, out for a while now, isn't he? Fractured foot. And Yeah, he's going to be a loss to anyone, but he's missed a few games recently anyway, hasn't he? So he's not like been an absolute ever present, and he's been a little bit of a roller coaster as far as his performance is concerned. But sometimes maybe it's a case that teams are giving him more focus and more attention, and therefore it does free up a little bit of space elsewhere. So it might well be that's where he's going to be a miss in the fact that the Everton side is weaker on that side, but there is a chance that Ndiaye is going to come back in. So I would argue, really, given what he's offered to Everton over the season or over the last couple of seasons, certainly Ndiaye, you would suggest that, well, they've kind of lost one on the left-hand side, but they've picked up a player that's been more consistent and offered a lot more on the right-hand side. And if the potential is that Dwight McNeil's going to come into that left-hand side for Grealish, a really consistent player. And on his day, again, another player that can be a real threat. He tends to get involved quite heavily in most things. So with Everton, James Garner, they've obviously got in great form as well at the minute. So, yeah, I think there's enough to say that there's been an overreaction possibly to the fact that Grealish isn't playing when you consider who they've missed and who's coming back and the other players they've got in those areas as well. So, look, Leeds have done very well, but they're still not great on the road, are they? Your Leeds haven't done spectacularly well. But I do think that tie that you mentioned there, you can't quite understand the price there. I think it's a live runner today. I think it is. You look at Everton's last couple of home games across all competitions over the 90 minutes, over regular time. They tied with Sunderland in the FA Cup. They tied with Wolves in the league. They lost the last two prior to that as well. So they've not been in great form at home. They've only picked up a couple of wins in their last 7 or 8. And when you look at Leeds' form on the road, only one win, and that came at Wolves, a host of defeats. But in recent weeks, since that tweak of system and since that confidence surge that you've all had there, all you Leeds boys have had, the confidence surging through your veins, they have been hard to beat. 3 successive ties in the league. Brentford, we know, generally speaking, a tough place to go unless you're Nottingham Forest. Sunderland, again, been superb this season, so a good point there. An excellent point at Liverpool and keeping them out from scoring as well. And then that incredible game at Newcastle, I said it before, still my best game of the season that I've seen so far. How you lost that, I don't know. Should have been a win. At worst, you should have been a tie. And it was 110th minute when, or 100th minute, sorry, when Newcastle got that winner first time they went ahead in the game. So I think a tie is a live runner at plus 205 if you're looking at the money line.
Yeah, I do agree with you, actually. I mean, there's been a lot of late goals in Leeds games, actually, come to think. I mean, we lose at Newcastle, and then, we get an injury time winner against Fulham. I think we equalised nearly the last kick against Liverpool. It's the way it kind of rolls with the Leeds. But I am a bit more nervous, and the fan base is a bit more nervous, Jack. What do you think about the relegation battle? Are we under threat?
I think you've got to be considered to be under threat. West Ham have picked up a couple of massive wins for them. We know that Nuno is a well-respected manager at this in the league. He's not going to turn into a bad manager overnight. Is he in charge of a bad team? Ray's going to disagree if he's watching, but I think you'd generally say that he's starting to turn the tide a little bit there over the last couple of weeks. He's getting a tune out of one of your ex-players in Somerville. Crescencio Somerville. And we said it on the Premier League show that he would be probably one of those players that Nuno likes to work with. He likes to have those quick, pacey, counter-attacking wingers. And he's got that in Somerville. He's now starting to add some goals to his game. Bowen scored again at the weekend, obviously from a penalty spot, but a massive player for them. And they're adding 2 or 3 players in and around that. And it seems like Souček started to get a look in again. He'd been left out a while, so maybe he's starting to see him as an opportunity and getting into that side if they can control it defensively. Massive win for Forest was a big surprise to me, obviously, on that bet that I put up. But, again, Sean Dyche, you've got a manager there that tends to know how to get those results, those positive results, grind those points down to the foot of the table. So you are going to be nervously looking over your shoulder. I think there is only one relegation place to play for. I don't think I'm sort of saying anything massively controversial in that respect. I would be absolutely shocked to the core if Burnley and Wolves don't go down. So therefore, one place, West Ham, Forest, Leeds. Yeah, you've got to say you're involved. And I think there might be another couple of clubs involved in that race as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's one of those where we were very happy to see West Ham keep not winning and Forest struggling. Suddenly, West Ham winning a couple of games and Forest winning 2 of the last 3 as well it's a worry, because I feel like if Leeds came into this match 8 clear of the drop zone, the pressure wouldn't be on. It would almost be like a bit of a free hit to come to Everton, have a go, and probably win the game. But now the noose is just tightened a little bit around the neck. Suddenly a draw looks all right. I certainly think Everton would take a draw. Everton are just in 32 points on the board. They're kind of really they're going to end up mid-table, aren't they? That's where they're going to end up. Yeah. They are better away, as Hayden said. Wilfred Songo says the 0-0 detector, and I do agree. The bet I like here is under 2.25 goals, minus 122. Leeds matches of late, apart from that Newcastle match, have been much more low scoring. They've been willing to dig in away. I mean, the last time we visited Merseyside, we got a 0-0 against Liverpool. I actually think Leeds will probably be more on the front foot here and probably look the better team on the field. We'll have the better metrics, the better XG and all that sort of thing. But we know that Everton are masters of getting results when they are second best in that department, just like they did against Villa. I just struggle to see really how either team's going to score that comfortably. Set pieces are probably the best way for a goal. So I think the match goals probably will end under 2.25 goals. If either team scores, they're likely to sit on it. Certainly Everton always do that. If Everton getting ahead, they always sit on it. That's what Simon Holden always tells me with Moyes or whoever's been there. So I like under 2.25 Asian goals. You've got a bet for the game, an SGP, I do believe.
Yeah, I've put a couple of things together. A guy called A's put out there that he fancies 1-1. If you're looking for a scoreline, that would be where I'd go. I think that's been quite a popular scoreline over the last few games for both these sides. So a 1-1, I think that sounds about right to the game, to be fair. But yeah, I've gone down the same game parlay route. One of the stats that was really surprising to me, I'm kind of going against the fact that there'll be goals in the essence. So I think there might be a relatively early one. I was shocked to find out that having done some research on the game, digging into some details, and found out that there's only been one game at home for Everton this season in the Premier League where there's not been a first half goal. So that surprised me. And that was the second game of the season, or the second home game of the season, against Aston Villa. And other than that, from then on in, it's been a case of there's been at least one goal in all those games. So Villa was the second home game of the season. Other than that, so throughout the course, there's a couple against Tottenham, 3 against Newcastle, a couple against Forest as well. So other than that, it's been ones. Leeds tend to have a first half goal. There's been a bit more. There's been 3 0-0s in the first half for them. So I'll put that in as a starting point, as there being at least one first half goal. And then the second part of it is over 8.5 corners. Both these sides tend to be involved fairly regularly in corners, and over 8.5 corners has landed fairly regularly for both these sides over the recent times. Everton's last 5 league matches have seen over 8.5 corners, and 4 of their last 5 at home. Leeds, 8.5 corners has landed in their last 6 matches, and 4 of their last 5 on the road as well. So they both knit quite nicely together. That you can add that, and I've put that together with that first half goal to come up with odds of plus 105 as my lean into the game.
Yeah, I can't really argue with the first half goal stats heading into it. That might well happen again, and the match ends under the mark still, because as I say, whoever does score first, I think they will just dig in a bit and slow the game down. Stuart Johnson says 1-0 written all over it. Probably is. First goal might win this game, whoever gets it. The feel-good factor is back at West Ham, says Ray. And again, that's what gives me the heebie-jeebies, to be honest with you. West Ham are starting to concern me. And, a couple of weeks ago, they looked gone. But they've managed to turn it so far. Stay away at 7. Good to see you. I know you snowed in today, but the power's still on. And obviously the net's still on. But it looks pretty bad with the snow whereabouts you were. Corners for this game, I like Leeds corners. I think Leeds will have more corners than Everton. Although Jack Grealish not being involved, I think changes it, because Grealish is a cut inside merchant, doesn't shoot enough. And I think that's one of the reasons Everton don't always obtain that many of them. So that could be different. What about a header to be scored at plus 200, says Ginepi? Well, my player prop for the game would be Pascal Struijk to have a shot on target for Leeds. I think it's at plus 280 the last time that I checked with Bet Rivers. He is plus 290 now for a shot on target. And you've always got to look out for the Leeds centre backs, haven't you, Jack? In these markets,
you certainly have. Yeah.
Catch your eye. I know you like Stroik as well to score though.
Yeah, yeah, both of them. I think they're big prices to score. We've seen a little bit of vulnerability. I mentioned Dominic Calvert-Lewin obviously returning to his former club on the Premier League show, but I do think that there is enough aerial threat there. They do put a very good delivery, and we were trying to work out who might well be on set pieces for Leeds today because there's a few injury doubts, aren't there? But yeah, there's an opportunity there to get on either Strag or on Roden, and they're both big odds as far as to score is concerned. And say obviously with the fantastic flexibility on the Bet Rivers app, you can go on there and go onto the player specials tab, and you can have to score a header in there as well. Just to look through there, Pascal Stroke is plus 1,200 to score a header, and Rodon is plus 1,300 to score a header. Dominic Calvert-Lewin plus 475, understandably the favourite to do so. But yeah, their set pieces have been a real threat this season. Leeds are one of the best as far as exponents of set pieces and scoring goals from set pieces. So, and generally speaking, that would lead to headers. So, yeah, I think if you want to go for something a little bit more outlandish in a game which could well be tight, then I wouldn't put you off going for something like that for one of those Leeds players. Look, wait for team news. Shouldn't get much of any price effect on that. Wait for team news, and then we can go in and get involved in someone to score a header.
Yeah, Giuseppe's going to get involved with those players that he's listed there. Some big lads who are a threat. Mickey says it's obvious in Dye on the left and McNeil on the right, he thinks.
Okay.
Is that, I mean, it's possible, I suppose, isn't it?
Anything's possible in this game, Steve. We know that.
Phil says, how do we feel about Everton under 4.5 corners? I actually think it just goes under, Phil, but that is just too tight a line, I think, to be getting involved. Because it's just say Leeds did score first, and maybe early even, then Everton naturally just would be in the corners game. But I tell you one thing, if Everton get ahead, then they don't rack up many corners after that. No. They just sit back. They try and pass sideways. So game state is absolutely massive with the corners for this game. In my opinion.
I was going to say this is a game state situation, but just for those that aren't aware of them, I don't know if the guy who mentioned that is aware of the corners for Everton. Going from most recent game first, which was the Wolves home games only, 4 against Brentford, 2 against Arsenal, then a bit more. They had prior to that 6 against Forest, 8 against Newcastle, 7 against Fulham, 9 against Tottenham. So the last 3 have all gone under 4.5, but prior to that, it was the last 4 that had gone well over that. And as far as Leeds are concerned, at conceding corners on the road, they conceded 8 against Newcastle, 8 against Liverpool, understanding. But interestingly, only 3 against Sunderland and none against Brentford. So there's kind of a link there to them not conceding many. 8 against Man City, again, you'd understand that. 6 against Forest, 4 against Brighton, 1 against Burnley, 4 against Wolves, 3 against Fulham, and 2 against Arsenal. Only 2 against Arsenal at the start of the season. So, there's definitely the stats that would say that you could lean on the fact that they might well be under. But as you say, game state is massive on a relatively low line. It'd be one to tread carefully with.
I got done with Brentford corners at the weekend, actually. They're always messing around trying to win the long throws. That's the problem with Brentford, rather than actually win corners. King of the Bean says, I like the under. Watching on Twitch, of course. You can watch on Twitch if you want, rather than YouTube. Up to you. Facebook as well is a possibility. Tribe of Gad, good to see you. And he's very happy with Villa's win. Mindy asked a good question. Who is the third choice corner taker for Leeds? I think Stack will start, and I think Stack will be the one on them. But if he doesn't, and if Longstaff's not on the field, then it would be Goodmunson, but he's a doubt as well. So
I can run through the numbers. So the for corners crossed only, Anton Stack is in front. 55 corners he's taken so far for Leeds this season. Sean Longstaff second with 27. You then got James Justin with 5 as the third choice. Goodmanson has taken 3. Gruev has taken 2. And Tanaka has taken 1 corner. So on that basis, if those doubts between Stack and that the stats at this moment would suggest that James Justin could be a surprise, and that I'm sure has alerted people towards his assist
He's played
market.
well for us. James
Yeah.
Justin, we all laughed about him. To be honest, there was a few signings I wasn't convinced by for Leeds last summer, and most of it was injury related. But Justin's been a lot better than I thought he would be. He can play centre back, he can play left back, right back, wing back, whatever. He can apparently can play midfield as well. I've been dead impressed with Justin. I think he was man of the match in the Liverpool fixture away, off the top of my head.
Okay. He is plus 750 to score or assist.
Interesting. He scored against Derby away in the cup. I know that.
He did.
Kevin says, has anyone ever won a wager in an Everton or Leeds game? I won last week, Leeds money line, actually. I was on Leeds against Fulham. So it can happen. It can happen. Mark says, I see tons of fight in this Leeds side. Real belief they can beat the drop. Just before we move on to Norwich, this is the Premier League relegation odds. Wolves minus 5,000. Burnley minus 2,500. It's a slight mistype, I think. West Ham minus 200. I'm not sure I'll be betting on that after the last two games, Jack. Leeds plus 600, Forest plus 600, Crystal Palace and Spurs. Those are the two sides in really, really poor form at the minute. Could I mean, this is a bit speculative, but could Crystal Palace actually get sucked into a bit of trouble, do you think, or not?
I 100% think they could do. Yeah, it's been a massive fall from grace over the last, well, not 12 months yet, is it? Obviously, they won the FA Cup final. So I think that with well documented, Nigel kind of was the trailblazer for this, to say that they are the ones to keep an eye on as far as running out of steam. The squad is so small, the workload is so high. They can't keep it going. They don't rotate. There was some stats which showed that they're effective at the top of all the metrics as far as distances run, players used, etc., etc. So that can only go on for so long. So the January window is massive for them. If they don't bring bodies in, they're in huge trouble. But with a manager that's already checked out as far as that he's going to be going and leaving at the end of the season, you do then have to worry. Look, he's obviously a professional. He's not going to want to lose every game. But they're on a terrible run of form at the moment, and there's no real massive incentive for him. He's going to not be there next season. So, I mean, he doesn't want a relegation on his CV, but obviously if it continues to go as bad, there is a chance that they'll relieve him of his duties before that comes. Who do they then bring in? That's going to be a massive thing. Obviously they've lost Gahey already. There's talk about Mateta leaving in the window. There was talk of Juventus, isn't there? He's now said he's kind of been trying to get Man United interested in him. Whether that would be a case or not, I don't know. But 30 odd million for a striker that's kind of proven himself over the last couple of seasons as a decent striker, French international. That's a little bit of a snip, isn't it? Really, wouldn't you say? For Mateta on his day, he's a real handful, scores goals. So if they were to lose him, where are the goals going to come from? Adam Wharton's been talked about moving to Liverpool in the summer. So another player that you get to the sort of back end of the season, he doesn't want to put that big move at risk, and you start to then worry on that side of it. So, as it stands at the moment, they would be the value pick in those selections. That they aren't that far clear. You'd think that Tottenham would have enough about them. They'll probably change the manager. They've probably got the ability to go and bring someone else in, and also they've got a whole host of injuries that you would assume will come back. As they start to come back, that will strengthen the squad. And they should find their way out of it, but they're kind of where they're expected to be, and obviously where they ended up last season as well. So that's Tottenham for you at the moment.
I think there is a genuine concern about Palace, not just because of what's been going on there on and off the field, but because this season, more points. You're going to need more points to survive. It's as simple as that. It's not like you're going to get to 35, 36 this season. That's enough. I think you are going to need 40, maybe even more. But Palace need some new players in. I'm sure they'll get some new players before the end of the window, you'd hope. And I know they've got home matches against Burnley and Wolves in the next 5. But if those results didn't go well for them, then they could be in a little bit of trouble. I personally think Leeds and Palace wouldn't be a bad bet to go. Leeds, I actually don't think we will go down, but from a tradable perspective, I think we'll be shorter than plus 600 in 4 weeks' time, because we've got Arsenal, we've got Man City and Chelsea on the card soon, and one huge match against Forest. So from a actual pure, I actually think both of those sides, Leeds and Palace, will be much shorter in a month, potentially shorter in a month's time. That's the way I see it. Long term, you've got to decide, will those sides really go down though? So it's an interesting little market. Before we go, of course, Norwich City against Coventry. You're going to this match today. Coventry City, were they 15 clear at one point, 12 clear at the top? Their lead has been eroded by Middlesbrough, who are flying at the moment. Tie plus 225 here, Coventry plus 112. Norwich have been much improved under their new manager as well. Jack, what are you expecting from proceedings at Carrow Road this evening?
I'm expecting a really good game. It's understandable that Coventry are favourites. I think they've kind of been just about getting over the line. They've won their last couple. They'd had a little bit of a wobble before that. So they're back on track to a certain extent under Frank Lampard. They were ripping sides apart at the earlier stage of the season. They're not quite doing that so much now. As I said, they're kind of 2-1 wins as opposed to 7-0 and 7-1 wins. So it's been a little bit more hard work in performances. But, you want to get the points on the board. And they've got that little bit of breathing space that they've won a couple this week, so they can afford to go for this one and look to get the full sweep of 3 wins from 3 games. But Norwich have had 2 excellent away wins. They've gone to Wrexham, who hadn't been beaten at home since September, and got the win there, and then absolutely thumping win against West Brom, which in part was down to, and Sean mentioned it when we spoke at Christmas time, and I poked him a little bit after that result. But a 5-0 win for Norwich there. West Brom were absolutely horrific in that game. But Norwich did well. They took their chances. They brought a couple of players in that have hit the ground running. Ali Ahmed has come in from the MLS and hit the ground running, an assist in his first game, hit the bar in that game as well, and also scored in that game against West Brom, a lovely controlled finish into the top corner. So outcome-wise for the game, I think is quite tough. I'd expect goals in it, but the odds do reflect that as well. So that's a tough one to get on side. As to the winner, I'm not really certain, and I'm not a person that is like, I can't bet against Norwich. I've won a lot of money betting against Norwich over the years. It's been a very profitable stream for me to tap into. But I think in the moment with Philippe Clement has got a real tune out of the side. He's got them working hard, playing right to the end. He's up their fitness levels considerably. The confidence is there, which does help. The home support are massively behind him and the players that he's brought in. So I think it will be a real exciting game. We should see goals in it. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 2-1 or a 3-2, and it could go either way. And we've seen some brilliant games against Coventry. Coventry were winning in this fixture last season, and 2 goals in added on time for Norwich won that. So we could see something similar. But yeah, I mentioned him, Ali Ahmed. I've gone down the player route just for people to look out for. Ali Ahmed, probably the MLS fans there will know more about him than me, but I've liked what I've seen from the first couple of games. Hard working, if I can say it. A left attacker, cuts inside, good on his right foot, happy to go and get crosses into box well. But he's plus 190 for a shot on target. So obviously, if you're looking at shots on target, then you can then look at goal scoring as well. A player that's been sensational in the last couple of weeks. That looked like he was out of the club. They were trying to sell. And it's Ben Slimani, is plus 160. He's been playing in the number 10 role, but he is rotating game time and could start on the bench. So wait for team news on it. If he's not number 10, it's likely to be Oscar Schwartau, who scored from outside the box a couple in that opened the scoring in that game against West Brom. Absolutely suited to a number 10. If you look at his stats, they won't be great, but he's been playing out on the left-hand side. A square peg in a round hole. He's been doing a job for the side. He's now been moved inside to the number 10 role and looks far more at home. A comfortable 19-year-old Swedish international who is now showing where his best form is. So again, he's plus 105 for a shot on target. Either of those two would be good in that respect. And then obviously you can look at him for scoring goals. And as for Coventry, Matt Grimes catches my eye. Over 0.5 shots on target. It's plus 330. And that's a really big price for a player that is consistent as far as his shots are concerned. At the moment, he's had a 9-match streak currently where he's had at least 1 shot. So look out for him. He's had a shot on target in 3 of his last 4 championship away games. At Birmingham, tough venue, Charlton, and at Preston as well. So he's a player that sometimes you get players that get a bit more space on the road rather than they do at home. So plus 330, I think, is a massive price for Matt Grimes for a shot on target. They're the players that caught my eye and I'll be looking out for tonight.
Efri Brilovsky, good to see you in chat. He's been waiting for this one. Norwich, Tino bet, best bet for him. A guy called A says Norwich money line,
Confidence.
double chance and over 2.5. For me, Coventry have looked vulnerable recently. I would agree with that. Stairway to 7, the Canaries are terrible. No, they've improved a lot. Stairway a lot. I mean, I said this, Jack, didn't I? I said Philippe Clement would come in. I rate Clement really highly. I don't think we can judge him on his spell at Rangers for a couple of reasons. Rangers are were a mess of a club then, and ultimately, I think Clement needs to be in charge of a more talented bunch. And I actually think from a technical level, Norwich have more technically better players than Rangers to a degree. That sounds a mad thing to say, doesn't it? But
Josh Sargent's obviously put his spat his dummy out, and he's been training with the under 21s because he wanted a move. It's not been granted because the fee's not been matched. So he's not been playing. And since then, they've been in a good run of form and scoring goals. But to put it into context, over the last 10 games, Norwich are 5th in the form table, 17 points from the last 10 games. And Coventry 11th in the form table with 15 points from the last 10 games. So that shows you the context at the moment that Norwich are actually better, and you go into zoom into the last 5 games and 7th in the form table with Coventry 15th. So form wise, Norwich are the form horse out of the two sides.
Just going back to the Leeds game, Iron Inspire 99, great name, that one. So you guys think it will end a tie between Everton and Leeds, and a few other people. Cree said tie feels like a runner. I do think it will end a tie. I think the 1-1 or 0-0 would be my prediction for this game. Tie, yay or nay, Jack?
That's what I think. Yeah, I like the tie in that game. I think it's a good runner. It's been consistent.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of things. First, the tennis crew out there in the Australian Open. The new episode has dropped. The WTA show, Tim and Nigel today, checking out the quarterfinals. And also you can get an Aussie Open bonus bet from Betting Weekly and Bet Rivers. Enter the bonus code BWAO. That is O for Oscar 26 in your Bet Rivers app to get a $10 bonus bet to use on any Australian Open wager. And you've got until January 31st for that one. Must be 21, eligible players only. And you can also get that profit boost just by logging in to the Bet Rivers account every single day to use on those matches. That code, again, BWA26. That's a reminder of the Daily Double today. Girona money line against Getafe, and Verona Udinese over 2 Asian goal total at plus 319. And also I want to give a shout out to the Instagram account, because there's been so many winners on this account lately. I know a lot of you are starting to follow it, and the good thing is we can provide sort of up-to-date, very quick in-play bets. And in-play, it's just easier. It just is. You can see the action unfolding. You can see where the value is. I mean, the hitman Paul Hughes gave out Fulham money line on Saturday, didn't he? It was 800 or something like that.
Yeah,
what a hit that was from the hitman.
Yeah.
Plus 650.
He swings punches, doesn't he, that boy?
And there might be a chance of some Instagram content this evening from Cara Road, Jack. Signal dependent.
Signal dependent. It's terrible, but signal there. We'll try and get some, but I'll get some imagery, certainly. But I'll obviously have eyes on the game from inside the stadium. And if anything catches my eye, I'll be looking across the Bet Rivers app, and be sure to put it on Instagram for what is the bet to be on in play.
Well, Jack, it was an absolute pleasure as always. And thank you, everyone who joined live or on demand. Really appreciate so many of you in. Remember to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel, and do follow that Instagram account. I put the link in chat there. Half space, just before I go, half space makes a good point. As good as Norwich have been, Coventry money line doesn't make sense to me. Draw Coventry plus Pell and Batterson 2+ tackles. If you can get involved in the tackles market, then do it. Kevin, Nick, sweet, thank you as well. Thank you, everyone. Remember to gamble responsibly. And I'll see you tomorrow with Lewis Jones is going to be around. We've got a Bundesliga double header tomorrow from those postponed games. Jack, take care. Best of luck. See you next time, everyone, on Betting Weekly Live.
Tonight.
Goodbye.